Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to $3 Theater, and this is my review of Ready or Not, a late summer 2019 horror comedy film starring. It is kind of a comedy, to be fair. I mean, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Starring Samara Weaving and Adam Brody, and that's really about it. And oh no, Andie MacDowell and some other people that you might recognize, but top of my head, I can't name out who they are. And that's entirely fine. This is a low budget horror thriller comedy movie that is so well done. I am actually angry at myself until waiting until last night to go and see it. So let me tell you the reason why. So I do this podcast. I'm rebooting this podcast called Podio Commentary, where my friend Mark and I talk about movies like for about 45 minutes, and we're just getting it off the ground. And I remember him saying that Ready or Not was like his favorite film from last year. I hadn't seen it. I remember it being on HBO Max. I'm like, why don't we talk about that? I have to go watch it. It gives me an excuse. So that's why it took me so long to get to it. And again, I'm very upset that I did. This movie is spectacular. It is hysterical. It is gory. It is dark. It is brutal. And I have to say, the fact that they went with that ending was interesting as hell. So the plot line, and there's going to be spoilers, the plot line of the movie is that Alex and Grace get married. Alex is part of this massive gaming dynasty family, right? They have the Ledomes, and they have been very profitable and powerful for ages and ages and ages, right? But they have a superstition. When there's a new person that gets married into the family, they have to draw a random card and then play whatever game it is. Alex's sister's husband drew, I think it was like charades, and then her sister or his sister-in-law drew checkers. But when Grace does it, it's a game of hide and seek. Now, this, of course, is the card that nobody wants to have drawn. Grace is unaware of what it is because she has 6 hours to survive until dawn, unless the family catches her, and then they will kill her. And she doesn't believe it at first, obviously, but as the night goes on, she starts to see how twisted and dark this family truly is, and all the craziness that goes along with it. And what I love about the movie is that the directors didn't necessarily shy away from the violence. In fact, whenever somebody dies in this movie, it is not a slow death, like not at all, which I thought was kind of funny. And I say that because of most of the shock humor surrounding the deaths. Like if you've seen the trailer, you see that the sister accidentally kills one of the maids or one of the servant girls. But when they do that, she shoots her in the face, not like the brain, but the face. And the girl is literally slowly dying, and she keeps gurgling up blood. And they keep like trying to talk seriously over her body about how bad this is, but they keep getting distracted by all the gurgling blood. And that was just funny. Like I was laughing so hard at that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. I shouldn't laugh at this. But the way it's done is so freaking funny. And then the same thing happens with the next maid who accidentally takes a crossbolt to the mouth. And she's not dead yet because it just went through the back until the aunt has to come in and chop her head off because that's the only way to shut her up. Or even when the other one gets crushed in the dumb waiter, right? It's just, oh my God, like they draw out these deaths. They just draw them out to comedic effects. It's very, very, very well done. It's very well edited. And the movie when it plays up that kind of stuff, I thought it was interesting, except for when Adam dies, because he gets shot in the neck and then he slowly bleeds out and he kind of drowns and chokes on his own blood. And that was played up, and it was like, okay, this isn't being done for comedic effect. Now we're actually watching this character die very slowly like we did everybody else, but because we have grown to kind of care about this character, now it takes an entirely different turn, which I thought was actually pretty well done. And I like the fact that actually Grace, when encountering most of the people, she wasn't trying to kill them. She was just trying to survive and get away. Never mind the fact that she gets brutally messed up in this movie at times. And it's very, you suspend some disbelief in regards to blood loss and just, body shutdown from shock and everything else. But it's a movie. It is what it is. Like at one point she gets shot right through the hand, and then she's got to climb out of this pit, and the ladder's kind of broken, but there's this big bolt that was holding the ladder up, and she just shoves her hand through it and then pulls her weight up. And the pain from that would have put anybody into shock, in my opinion. I think it would have put anybody into shock, but she gave out a really convincing scream. Like Samara Weaving brought it in regards to her acting ability with this. She was able to play that role really well, but also have this kind of like dry sarcasm when it was necessary, which I thought was really funny. And I thought that was cool because I haven't seen much of her work. The last thing I saw her in was Bill and Ted Face the Music, and I really liked her in the film. And so, but she kind of plays a bit of that here with like the, all right, cool, like the laid back kind of like surfer LA chick, even though she's from Australia. She does it really well, but she's got this great line at the end, which I'll talk about, that her delivery was pitch perfect and it was just funny and it worked out really well. So the characters of the family are, they're all pretty typical, right? They're all pretty typical. Like you don't really, you kind of want all of them to die in their own way. Like the sister is a cokehead, but she's got the two kids. And she wants to she ends up accidentally killing two people because she's just so inept. You've got her husband who married into the family, and he's a total jerk, but like, you don't think he's like the killer type. But then you've got the brother and his wife has a line where she's like, oh, you know where I came from. They never tell us where she came from, but it's clearly implied that she came from, I don't know, poverty or whatever. And he only married her, at least in my interpretation, that he only married her because he thought, well, she might get the hide and seek card and then I can get out of this sort of thing and then maybe keep it going for another 30 years or whatever. Like he could take that hit himself because you could tell he never really loved her, but she got checkers. So he was kind of stuck with her. At least that's my interpretation of it. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel it, and the parents are trying to keep it all together. And the aunt whose husband did die 30 years prior has kind of gone full blown psycho at this point, realizing that the superstition surrounding the family, surrounding its origins, very much needed to be maintained, and that they needed a leader, and that leader was not going to be Adam Brody, but it was going to be Alex, which makes more sense because he's more of the stronger kind. Alex is kind of like the softy, wouldn't be able to do it. He kind of hates everything, but Alex, even though he hates everything, would come back into the fold and be able to lead the family to the next generation. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. Like you had like your true believers, but then the question becomes, what are they true believing? What exactly are they believing here? And so the whole idea is that the great grandfather of Lodam's had made a deal effectively with the devil. Right, effectively with the devil, and they played a game of chance, and he ended up winning, but there were certain stipulations to that, where if they do draw this card, they have to sacrifice this person to Satan in order to be able to maintain the family's luck, and if they don't, then bad things will happen if they don't play the game, basically meaning like they will die. And of course, it becomes this thought throughout the movie of like, this has got to be BS. Like they're Satan worshipers, but this has got to be BS, that this can't be real. And when you get to the end of the movie and the sun comes up and like nothing happens, I'm thinking like, oh dang, like, they're going to play it like that, to where this family had been lied to for well over 150 years. And they were just like realizing now, oh my God, what have we done? We've done all these bad things. And then of course the bodies just start exploding. I mean, that to me was really funny, but what I thought back to was in Red State, the original ending, the one that Kevin Smith had written, was that doomsday did happen, that you hear the horns and you see the four horsemen of the apocalypse start coming through the sky, and that, rapture was real. Like that was the ending he wanted to go for, but instead he chose to just call it all bullshit. In this case, they actually leaned into it, and this family made a pact with the devil, and she survived. They failed. And then at the end, as the house is kind of starting to burn down, you very much see the spirit of one of the family members, or in this case, it could be Satan, it could be their grandfather, just pop up and nod. And then he just disappears. And her response is just, fuck, she says it so pitch perfectly. I let out this massive laugh because, yeah, exactly. That's like the only reaction you can have in that moment. You are covered in blood. You are just like brutally injured. You've had a hell of a night. It's your wedding night. All of this stuff. Your husband is dead because he tried to sacrifice you to Satan. You bludgeoned his mom to death with this card box, and then the house is on fire. And here comes this flashing image of Satan. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I really liked it. I really did. I thought it was fantastic. I don't know if they're going to do a sequel to this movie. I kind of hope not. It's good as a standalone. It didn't make a lot of money, but I think this one is very much going to become a cult classic with a lot of people out there. Again, it's on HBO Max right now. It is a Fox Searchlight movie, so eventually it will probably be moving over to Hulu because it's a Disney-owned property at this point. But if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you guys about this later. Also, be sure to tune in, I think, like sometime this week for the Patio commentary episode where Mark and I discuss this movie in greater detail. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching, and peace out.